Varun, please talk about how you became a part of the holiday shift and how your character Sam was originally described to you.
Sure, yeah. It was pretty quick, the whole process of getting cast in the holiday shift. I had an audition back in May, and then I had a call back 2 weeks later in June, and then in the next week I had a chemistry read with a bunch of people, which
Okay.
ultimately ended up with Devin playing across from Devin, and then 2 weeks after that I got the role, and then I was off to Winnipeg to film. But
Okay, that's
the
great.
it was wild. Like the character on the page is very similar to the character I think I portray. In fact,
Mhm.
the showrunner Tommy Jonigan, he said that they didn't put anybody else up for the role because I guess I just nailed his neurotic nature. So I'm happy with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. That was sometimes it doesn't happen like that easily, right?
No, I oh my gosh, no. I mean I've been acting I guess now for since I was a kid, so like 15 years, and
Wow.
I haven't really slipped into a role that easily. There's always kind
Okay.
of a little bit of work, a little bit of friction, but
Yeah.
this role just happened to come across my table, and I just knew I was really like
Yeah.
born to play this.
I guess
Yeah,
it's just like when they say, sometimes when it's meant to be, you know, just happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, and I think the patience thing is a huge thing. Like you, not that I haven't enjoyed all the roles that I've done. In fact, but it's just like it was so easy to play this character. It just came so naturally, and so that's
Yeah.
super rare. And I think just waiting and something will come across your plate one day.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad because we're really enjoying your character. Seriously.
Oh,
So, what was about the holiday shift that really stood out the most for you and made you decide to be, part of this project, right? Aside from what you already said, like, was there something specific?
yeah, when I first got it, I just kind of thought it was another Hallmark title, like one of those kind of generic sweet Christmas shows that kind of would be a little forgettable because they're just lost in the shuffle of so many Christmas things. But after like actually reading the script, it was just so genuinely funny. Like I think this is a thing that we're kind of missing from Christmas movies now because there's such a saturation of it. Is like what of all the Christmas movies we had growing up, like the Home Alones, the Christmas Vacations, Christmas Stories, Wonderful Life, like all of those things are kind of baked into the DNA of the holiday shift. There's so many throwbacks to like the Christmas movies you loved growing up. And so it just has that in its nature of like, oh, this is like not just another Christmas love story. This is just a homage to all the Christmas things that you love.
Yeah, perfect. And well, we have seen Sam showing up like as a very kind, generous, well-intentioned man. So, what do you love the most about portraying this character?
Yeah, I mean, I really loved his sincerity. I remember kind of on the day I think there was trying to figure out what the tone of the show was,
Hmm.
and I had a little bit of like cynicism and maybe sarcasm and those kind of things inherent because I thought that's like funny generally, but we kind of worked on like no, there is like a real sincerity to this thing. There's a real light in it, and that maybe it kind of exists in a world that's a bit more, I don't know, a bit more good, like it doesn't need that cynicism, it doesn't need the kind of like
Yeah,
Hallmark, like where it's like such a fantasy. It's just like no, it's just like a very positive kind of space that exists in this world. You just want to leave it feeling good.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I think that's what makes him so lovable and I mean relatable to some of us in some kind, I guess.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
were you familiar with any of your coasters before working with them?
No, I mean, well, Nadine, I knew kind of just from the Toronto acting scene. She plays Marissa.
Hmm.
And Brielle I worked with briefly on the show called Endlings.
Okay.
Um, this show. But like Not really. I mean, we weren't really close when we began the project, all of us. And I think that's what made it such a fun project is we all just became best friends, you know? Like
Yeah.
Devin, Luke, Michael, like we all really just bonded with each other. And I think you really see it in our kind of 5-person scenes where
Yeah.
it just like we bounce off each other so naturally. And I think it's a thing that other comedies hope to achieve after a season or two, but we were able to just get that kind of chemistry right off the bat because we all really got along. No one had an ego. Everybody was just there to have fun. We went on tons of adventures too. Like we went to karaoke, we went to Patricia Beach, we went to Winnipeg Folk Fest, which was like a really fun weekend out there. I feel like we did everything that Winnipeg had to offer, and it was really fun.
That's great. I think that's something also very important when you have a like a broadcast or something that they have this chemistry. And I think definitely with you guys, it's really so fun and so amazing to watch you all together because you can really feel that as an audience. So I think that's also great about the show and probably what makes it the success it is, like the people loving your shows because they can really feel that connection between one another. I think it's great. So
Yeah.
um, early on the show, we can see that Sam has a long time crush with on Tess, right? And when she's back in town, he's just spiraling on it. And if you had a chance to give a piece of advice to Sam about how to do next about his crush, what would you say to him?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, I guess I would just say how you feel. Like, what's the worst thing?
Yeah.
I think that was, a lot of my friends when they watched it, they were like, why this is so unlike you. Like, I have such a quality of just saying what I feel, but like Sam overthinks every single thing, you know? He really gets in his head about the worst case scenario. And I think a lot of people are like that with their crushes. Like, oh my gosh, maybe the friendship will end. Maybe whatever we have now will have to change. But I really think it's going to change either way. You're holding on to something that
Yes.
will inevitably come out. It's not going to fade away,
Yes, absolutely. So, as we just were talking about, Sam is surrounded by this great, supportive group of friends, and these characters, I think what I love as an audience is that they're complex on their own. They have their own issues to deal with, and they're just definitely more than meets the eye, which is great. And you have to discover each one of them as the show unravels. So, what do you think is that something that makes this ensemble to fit so perfectly well together beyond the chemistry we already talked about? Do you think there's a different element to it?
Yeah, honestly, I think it all starts with the writing. Like,
Mhm.
we were really blessed with Tommy Johnigan's writing. He wrote the whole series by himself,
Wow.
and so it's I mean, I'm sure he had input, but like he wrote the whole thing, and it just
Right.
from the beginning until the end, from when we started the read through,
Mhm.
it was always funny. And what he allowed us to do too was just improvise. Like there was a
Oh.
huge element in our show of improv, and it made it into the show, which is kind of rare. But I think he recognizes what's funny and what isn't, and he has just such great instincts about it. And so it really resulted in something special, like something actually funny. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm it's pretty rare for a comedy to be funny in the first season, and so for us to have achieved that, I just feel so proud. And I think it starts with Tommy, honestly.
Yeah, because it feels, like you're really looking into this group dynamic as though you were an outsider. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a show at times, just like so natural. I think it's great. So also talking about chemistry, I love this bromance and this dynamic between Sam and Ronnie. So how's it
Yeah.
been for you to partnering with Jean-Luc Bilodeau with this and this adventure, this ride? How's it working with how it is working with him?
Yeah, he's an incredible man. I just think like when you meet him, he's just instantly the warmest, funnest guy. He is this relaxed guy. Like he's just so chill, like he's unruffled and he goes with the flow. Like I don't think anybody else could have played Ronnie than him. He's so effortless in his like ability to do comedy. Like I just think every one of his lines laugh. And so we had a lot of fun kind of just like bouncing off each other, coming up with bits. Like it just like the chemistry. I'm astounded by like all the chemistry all around. But yeah, me and Jean-Luc, or that one scene where I'm like clutching my shirt and he's like tearing up. It was so hard for us to get through a take. I edited bloopers and that they'll release at some point, and you're just gonna see
Yeah.
how hard we were just trying to hold on. I think if you notice in the two shot, if you ever rewatch it, is he's breaking and he's still laughing because they couldn't get a single take without.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing. And for example, in the final episode, we get to see, or something happens that may represent a major shift for Sam and Tess. Where do you see these two going from here? Do you have any hopes or expectations for them?
I don't know. I just had so much fun with Devin. I think like the whole kind of experience began and ended with her, which was so, I felt so lucky because we just
Mhm.
like, we really had such good chemistry and we had such good ability to like kind of read each other. And I think that's
Mhm.
like such a important aspect when you're playing people who are into each other, like you want to be able to, as an audience member, be like root for them. And so you want to see them get along and have fun. And I think we were really able to achieve that. And especially by the end, you're like, oh, I want to see where these two end up. I want to see where they go. How do they handle the long distance? So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping if we do more in the future that that'll probably be the next challenge in their relationship, and I'm sure Sam every aspect of it.
Yeah, he's hoping for the best, right?
Yeah, totally.
What do you hope lingers with people who watch the holiday shift? Maybe some emotion, some message.
Sure. I mean, I think there's definitely a message of kind of Christmas magic,
Hmm.
like Christmas spirit is kind of imbued in that in a way that's just like heartwarming and
Yeah.
it's fun, light, and giving is such a big aspect of it too. But like I said, it's not in a way that's preachy or cheesy. It's in the way that you grew up watching it on your television with all the movies at home, and
Yeah.
I think if the audience takes away a really good feeling about Christmas, I think we did a really good job. Yeah.
Great. And well, I've already mentioned that we have really enjoyed watching you here and on the holiday shift, but I think it'll be a shame not to mention about the great work you also did on Winona Earp. So,
Yeah, yeah.
playing Jeremy. So, what do you personally take away from your time on the show? Maybe some memories or friendships or mementos, even?
I mean, like, yeah, the whole experience on Winona was certainly life changing. Like, I just can't overstate it. I mean, to this day, I still get to do conventions and meet Earpers, and it's some of the most special interactions ever. That such a such a powerful connective thing can come out of such a scrappy show. Like
Yeah.
we like much of a budget, but we always tried our best. And
Yeah.
I don't know, the friendships are incredible, and I feel really lucky to have walked away from that. Like we're all still very close. Our group chat's
Mhm.
still very active. And yeah, I mean, recently I was directed by Melanie in Surreal Estate, which is Tim Rozon's show, and so like it was a mini reunion of sorts.
Wow.
I mean, by
Yeah.
like Tim got me the part, Melanie was directly. It was all a beautiful thing, but it just worked out so well, and it was like it was definitely one of my most nostalgic memories because it just brought back all these feelings of us working together.
Yeah. And how do you feel that despite of the years, people still remembering your character and remember all of you with this love and they still want to know about you.
I know, it's so wild. I mean, I would have done that show honestly for like 10 years. Really have loved to just keep revisiting it because it's just so fun. And
Hmm.
as an actor, Emily always wrote like you get to do so many funny things, but you get to also do
Yes.
really tough emotional things. And that's like a rare thing as an actor to be able to do both in a show. So no, I hope that we come back in some form because I think the cultural impact is still felt. if these conventions
Yeah.
are any and new fans seem to be finding it. So yeah, I don't know. I hope every day that we come back in some capacity.
Yeah, that's great. And do you have any upcoming projects that you can share with us this afternoon? Something this year, maybe next year?
Well, I just honestly, this month has been kind of wild for all the projects. I mean, let's see. I hope I work next year, but yeah, no, I'm in sort of on CBC Gem, which is a Canadian
Mhm.
network, and then Still Max in the States.
Mhm.
Uh, that should air in HBO in January, but it's the final
Right.
season. It's about this trans Pakistani Muslim who lives in Toronto, kind of navigating their life between their friends and the queer community and their family, and it's a dramedy, but it's written so well, and I have a nice little part in it, and it's really rewarding, and I think it's a super easy binge, so you can check that out. And also, I guess if you happen to catch Surreal Estate, I was just on it on Wednesday, and you should
Oh,
check that out. And this cartoon called Total Drama Island on
okay.
Cartoon Network, and it's like a uh, reality show cartoon where they
That's
eliminate people every. Yeah,
oh,
so yeah.
that's amazing. That sounds fun. So we'll be
Oh my
definitely
God.
looking forward to see all those projects of yours and hoping to get to know more about it. And just to wrap up this conversation, I don't want to take a lot of your time. What would you like to say to your fans and supporters out there that will definitely be watching this conversation soon?
Great. I mean, to anyone watching, thank you so much for all of your support. I really am blown away that anyone enjoys watching the things I do. So I'm so grateful and happy. And thank you for your continued support. I mean, I read a lot of the messages that sneak through, and I really enjoy meeting you in person at the conventions. And I'm just happy if that you enjoy and watch my stuff and support me. And it's a rare thing, and I'm appreciative of it every day. So thank you.
Yeah, and we also thank you because it's really enjoyable to watch your work. As I said, we've been really enjoying your talent, and we hope to see and hear more of you in the future. And once again, I want to thank you, Varun, for taking this time and to talk with us this afternoon. And well, I think until next time.
Thanks, Gladys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.